It's coming up to 4th year anniversary of my book, Homeschool Mama Self-Care, Nurturing the Nurturer, a book that I wrote for myself and for you. And I thought in honor of that, I would give you a little inspirational read aloud for the homeschool mom. Like, how cute is that? And if this isn't the right time, I'll probably read for about 3 or 4 pages. It's all about you taking care of you, of course, but specifically taking care of your boundaries. You can always tag this, or you can download it or save it for another time. But it's coming from my book, Homeschool Mama Self-Care, Nurturing the Nurturer. And this particular section is called Taking Care of Boundaries. Boundaries are simply this: you respecting yourself and expecting others to respect you also. We homeschool mamas have a unique challenge and privilege all at the same time. We signed up to be with our children. We might need a little quiet in our homes. We might need some time away from our kids. We might need a clean house in order to feel sane. That is a challenge. Boundaries are simply this: you respect yourself and expect others to respect you also. Why build boundaries as a homeschool mom? The boundaries you maintain around your energy, your needs, and your goals will help you maintain your peace, quiet, cleanliness, and organization. When our needs and goals are met, we have energy and mental space to extend nurture to those around us too. Can I hear an amen? So I've learned. So what kind of boundaries do we instill? Boundaries are entirely subjective. What you value and what I value may not be the same. Maybe you don't value a clean house. I have met you, although there is only one person I have met over the last 25 years. She had the most fun with her kids, not so much of a clean house. Maybe you don't value a clean house, but also maybe you're far more content in your life. To each their own. We need to create at-home work boundaries. Some of us moms are trying to work from home while homeschooling. For my creative writing to expand, I like to write in quiet. And now that I only have one kiddo at home, I can do that. And when I began writing and homeschooling, I had 4 little kids, and that was hard to do. This has been a challenge, to say the least. Over the years, my kids have learned most days, if I am tapping on my laptop or my study door is closed, I am unavailable. We need to sometimes create morning boundaries. I insist on 15 minutes of early morning quiet for my brain to wake up with a cup of coffee, a daily reading, and a journal entry. As I'm getting older, I wake up at ridiculously early hours, which I never thought I would, so I don't have to work at waking up at 5. I just do. Teenagers don't wake at 5. So you can probably sleep in just, however old your youngest is, just add I don't know, if they're 5, add 10 years, and you too will have opportunity for quiet in the morning. How to accomplish morning boundaries with younger kids though? For some 3-year-olds, 15 minutes of quiet can be too long. Consider buying an alarm clock, a good old-fashioned alarm clock, setting it outside your door or inside their room for 7 o'clock. But they're up at 6, you say. Yes, well, the alarm clock is for them to stay in their room. Let them, join you when the alarm goes off. Maybe you can give them special toys or activities that they can enjoy just after you go to bed. You slip them into their room. I know this works for some kids. It certainly wouldn't have worked for one of my kids, but it did work for the others. Make sure they're set up with a few toys and books and a snack for the morning so they have something to do. Build on your time apart too. Consider setting a boundary on toilet time. Your toilet time. You want to have a little quiet. No one needs to talk to you while you're peeing. Just let them know. I know some of the littler ones will not understand this, nor will they register it, nor will they honor it. But when you say it on repeat, they come to understand that you really do mean that you can interrupt me in here if the house is on fire. And you have to hold to that. Now, having said that, I have had 2 of my 18-year-olds I've had 3 now. 2 of my 18-year-olds have indeed interrupted me on the toilet, so it's not flawless. But if you don't establish boundaries when they're young, they won't figure out those boundaries unless you really did mean them. If you really mean, I want to pee alone, you have to actually instill it and also maintain that boundary. So might I add, just bring in a cup of coffee and a book and then get some more quiet time in the bathroom. Because, just stretch the time from 5 minutes to 6 minutes to 10 minutes. It's a possible strategy. If they don't know what a fire is, though, and they don't have verbal skills to yell, "the house is on fire," it doesn't apply to that discussion or to that child. You could build boundaries with non-supporters, the people that are not supporting you in your homeschool choice, and make sure to mention it on the regular or quiz your children regularly as well. When you're not feeling the love from the general public or an unsupportive relative, when you regularly hear comments like, "Why aren't your kids in school?" or "Is it legal? Do you have a teaching certification?" Remind yourself, you don't have to be a representative of the homeschool world. It's not going to fall or crumble under your feet if you don't defend it. So you don't have to put the energy into it if you don't want to. People are often just surprised by our choices. They just don't really know what to say. It's an unconventional choice. Maybe not so much when I wrote this book, or not so much now as it was when I wrote this book. And when I homeschooled, it's probably more common now. But it still makes people go, "Huh, you're choosing to homeschool. Interesting. Tell me about that." So sometimes they're just curious, and they might benefit from you sharing your reasons for homeschooling. If you've been asked something regularly, though, by a family member or someone that you know, get familiar with the question and then determine what your answer is. Because if you're being asked something repeatedly, you know that you'll have to address it again. Just like with kids, if you see some behavior on repeat, it will benefit you to plan for it because it will happen again. This is not Groundhog Day. And no sass is required. Sure, you can infuse it if you want to, but probably will return to you in a negative way. So just determine how you're going to respond and choose to do that. Build boundaries into your homeschool day. If you're not an unschooler and you're occupied in any time of your day in a study routine, don't answer the phone. Even for my work now, I set my phone somewhere else than in my general sphere because I just find it way too easy to remember, oh yeah, I have to go respond to so-and-so in the Patreon group. And then I go there, I open the phone, and then I'm like, oh, look, there's a notification. I should respond to that. And then I get lost in what I'm doing there. Is that you too? That's only happened to me in the last 6 months. I actually wasn't doing that at all, but now I've decided it doesn't need to be with me all the time. So I put it on the side table so it can be away from me until I determine I want to spend time with it again, my phone. Sometimes we want to build cleanliness boundaries. So maybe you want to teach your kids, keep your room clean, flush the toilet after you use it, wash your hands after you use the toilet, wipe the bathroom wall after you pee. Boy, mamas unite. Yes, you can teach them whatever is essential and necessary for you. Yes, the wall will still gradually yellow because they're learning and they're not mini janitors, but you got to start somewhere. You can teach kindness boundaries. Teach them not to interrupt their siblings, to be patient. However, also assume that they don't know how to do this stuff and it doesn't happen overnight or immediately, and that they need to be heard and understood when they're frustrated. However, so assuming that they're immature or they're just not quite grown up yet, even the rest of us grown-ups have yet to learn some things, we need to learn that relating and learning to relate and learning to communicate is something that continues through childhood. We can teach them to listen to each other and teach them to listen to you. Teach them to be kind to each other. Teach them to repeat back what you've heard their siblings say so they actually learn how to listen to each other, especially after there's been conflict. to really show the person that they're in conflict with that they see and hear what they said. They don't have to agree with it. They just have to show that they've heard and seen what their sibling said. This is like relationship 101 for the rest of us when we grow up. Expect great things from their sibling relationships and assume this is the ultimate training ground for relationships in the future. Yeah. So when we teach our kids kindness and we teach them how to be kind and how to relate to each other, we're teaching them to engage in relationships when they're older. Now, caveat to all of these boundary building exercises. Small kids are natural boundary breakers. They're not intentional, of course, they just do it. If you have a small child, the notion of boundaries is nebulous at best. What boundaries do you expect from a child who is 6 or 10 or 15? Just remember that kids don't get magic boundary pills. You got to teach them. And I might add, you also have to listen to their hearts so that they want to learn. Assume boundaries will take a while to learn. Assume you'll be repeating yourself a million times. You know, have you ever let this slip out of your mouth? I have told you a million times to do something. Well, just for the record, that's probably a sign that you probably have. But also, if you have spoken to them something a million times, it means you need to choose a different way to speak. Just say it. It's not working. Nobody's hearing. Time to choose a different approach. But in all of this boundary building discussion, I want to say, give yourself a break. Expect that boundaries won't be established quickly or without mistakes. Boundaries are taught over time. And this is all a Homeschool Mama Read Aloud from my book, Homeschool Mama Self-Care, Nurturing the Nurturer, which you can find on my website, capturingthecharmedlife.com. But actually, you can find it less expensive on the big A. I just don't want to, it's not really my goal to sell from Amazon. But anyways, they're there. They're also on, my book is also on christianbooks.com and a variety of other places, local, if you know me locally. And this building boundaries concept, not coincidentally, is the group coaching program that I have renamed over the next, or that I've renamed and that I'm sharing. I will be offering it, I think it starts Thursday, the 18th of January. It's a 6-week group coaching program, which I've renamed Foundations for Homeschool Mom Fulfillment, because I think the most important things for homeschool mom life are the things that I shared on Sunday, the 3 things that I wish I knew before I homeschooled. And one of them is most definitely about building boundaries, building connections, meaningful relationships with other people, and learning the principles and how to do that. And also building a relationship and building boundaries within myself, knowing how to relate to myself, knowing what to expect of myself, how to speak to myself. And that, of course, naturally extends with or into my relationships with others. So if you're curious about building boundaries, group coaching, or presently named Foundations for Homeschool Mom Fulfillment, then connect with me. I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope you have a great day.